everybody. As Kevin said, my name is Joya Clark. I'm a STEM teacher at Sojourn High School at the Essex County Juvenile Detention Center in Newark, New Jersey. I have been there since October 2016. And ever since I arrived, I was on a mission. I actually came there from the New Jersey Institute of Technology on a mission to try to change the mindsets of some of the correctional officers and captains, some of their mindset about how hands-on STEM and hands-on science could work there. So I'll tell you from the beginning, it has not been smooth. I'm not going to sit here and, you know, spin a tale of, you know, clouds and rainbows and unicorns, okay? It has not been the smoothest thing, but we just, we worked at it, basically. I kept asking and I kept trying, and we kind of came to an understanding of what would be permissible and what is not permissible, what does work and what doesn't. So I opened this up to you and to all of us for conversation about, you know, how we can jump on the bandwagon with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in juvenile justice school programs. So what I'm going to do first, let me give you a little introduction. I'm going to show you 3 videos. They're very short. And then I'm going to open it up to questions about what you saw and any questions that you might have about how I was able to do what I did.
Yes, I was.
Okay, so here's my intro. We live in a world where we would very much like to believe that there is equal access to STEM for all people. That is still not the case widely.
I knew it was referred
I have seen this play out in many places where I've taught. I've taught in the suburbs, I've taught at NJIT, Rutgers, different places. And I've seen that it is not equal. There is not equal access or equal opportunity for people to get into STEM. There's definitely a gap, not only an achievement gap, but there's an economic gap that really makes it difficult for kids to gain access to STEM programs. However, the juvenile justice system struggles tremendously to provide adequate mathematics and science instruction, and I attribute that to a revolving door of science and math teachers. Since I started in 2016, geez, we've been through, what, 2 or 3 science teachers, 2 or 3 math teachers. I mean, it's rough. So the research on whether or not career in tech ed, CTE, which is a part of STEM, so the research on whether it reduces recidivism is mixed. So the jury's not out on that. But what we do know is that the number of blue-collar STEM jobs is increasing in the United States. So if we can prepare our students for those jobs, we're giving them a shot at earning a livable wage and being able to take care of their families. Okay, so let's watch these videos and then I'll open up for questions. Okay, so that shows how I started out back in 2017, the kinds of projects I did. And then in 2018, I got bold and I decided to try robotics. Okay, so what you saw there was Lego Mindstorm's EV3. And since then, I've learned some tricks. You know, I've learned how to even program those robots with the Python coding language. So it's been a wild ride, but a good one. Okay, and this is where I am now. I actually went back to NJT and I told them what I was up to, and they are trying their very best to be supportive, and they invited us into their brand new Makerspace to train us and talk about how we could use their 3D printer. So we actually have an account over there where we can actually 3D model things and then go over there and actually print them out and bring it back to the kids. So this is what we did in September of this school year.
And then I'll show you one more exactly fits with what you were saying.
What equipment?
Here's the hand scanner we were talking about. And actually, here's another example of that same technology. This would be great technology for your schools, I think. You're basically taking a part just like this. So this is a 3D printed part that we have. In your case, it would be that broken component. You can place it here on this deck. Here's a camera system, just like this camera system. This deck rotates, it scans this part, it creates a point cloud that gets uploaded to the computer. So you get a digital representation of this model. Then you can go right to 3D print it, or you can bring it into a modeling software and make those dimensions for that part that is broken. That's right. And then you can make that 3D model of what that part should look like. Then you can take it to any one of these fabrication machines and make that part. So that's something that we are trying to do. So one of the things that we did with
Okay, thank you so much for your patience in watching that. Now I'm gonna actually stop sharing for a little bit and open it up for questions. If there's anything that's caught your eye, that fascinated you, just questions that you might have about what you saw. Kevin, is there anything in the chat?
I just still good mornings. And
can you explain like all of what's encompassed in STEM? Like I know it's science, technology, engineering, math, but like you mentioned like the work industry. Can you like give us like an overview of what opportunities will be created with STEM education?
Absolutely, and that's also in the slides that I believe Kevin emailed to you, and some slides that I'm going to go over later in this presentation. But basically, the opportunities that we're giving our students by doing this are computer programming, any form of civil engineering, or any really electrical engineering, any form. Even career and tech ed, which there's a whole lot published about that for correctional education. This is if students are being challenged to design things in their science class and to make things that solve a real world problem and to make something that works. And, you know, this is one of the things that's most important to me personally is pushing them to not quit after something doesn't work. See, that's a personal growth thing, okay? Because they're gonna, you know, get a bunch of stuff and put it together and it's not gonna work. So, you know, just pushing them to say, okay, so do it again, you know, and just listen, and they're gonna be cursing all over the place and saying all kinds of stuff, okay, but try it this way. You know, and so get that value, which is going to serve them in anything. But as far as blue collar STEM jobs, that's, you know, the guy that does the wiring, the guy that does your cable, the guy that shows up for Verizon Files, all of that. Or young lady, excuse me, whoops, or young lady that chooses to go into those jobs. I hope that was helpful.
I have a question.
your STEM classroom, do your students stay in one classroom and the different STEM teachers come in, or do they do different projects in each of their classes, their science, their math, or so on?
They move from class to class. So not all of the teachers in my school have bought into this. Let me tell you, I told you, like, I'm not going to sell you, you know, sunshine and clouds. Not every teacher wants to even take this risk. It's a risk because you have to constantly be counting things. You have to constantly be putting things in little bags and keeping track of everything. So in our school, there's probably about 4 of us. One of them is an art teacher. Okay, so as many of you may know or may not know, you don't need a science degree for this. So the art teacher loves this. There's a history teacher that loves doing this stuff. I love doing it. And then there's another science teacher. So about 4 of us, but they move from class to class. And our classes, by the way, our classes are 40 minutes. I did see that pop up in the chat. They're 40 minutes each. The kids have 8 classes a day. We also sometimes have Friday activities. On Fridays, we typically don't do academics in my detention center. We do something that's either for social emotional learning, or we do something like this. And those are very long. They get like from 9 in the morning until like 12 something, but they eat lunch in our classroom on those days. So we get to work with them for a couple of hours and they eat lunch and then they go upstairs. We're in the basement floor of our facility. Any other questions? Okay, I want to keep it moving.
I have some questions on the chat.
Okay.
So how does a teacher get trained to implement the Makerspace program?
So the Makerspace movement is pretty widespread now. So pretty much, I do a whole separate presentation that's maybe going to be a follow-up to this one, where you kind of have to do a little self-discovery to see what kind of things you like to make. The maker movement is about, like, what do you like making? So if it's, you like making little robots or little, you know, items that are mechanical and move, then you probably want robotics. If you like programming, then you probably either want to do web pages. So there are a number of people that do this. The Arduino are there. Those people have lots of free professional development. Raspberry Pi, lots of free professional development. The one that I'm going to show you that I think that all of us should start with, I actually have a suggestion. I think we all should start with this. It's called Tinkercad, Tinkercad, Tinkercad.com. You could go on that today at home and start modeling something out of 3-dimensional shapes. This is a great entry point. Like they say, you know, you can start at a low level, but there's a high ceiling with modeling. Okay, so yes, certificates like crazy. So now you guys are asking questions that have to do with slides that are coming up. So I'm gonna to move forward. Okay.
I have another question from the
okay.
chat. So how long are your class periods?
40 minutes, except for on Fridays where I get an extended period for 2 hours.
Someone just has a very good comment. It says that because the high unemployment rates and when people get released, it's the highest for Hispanics, males and females, and Black women and men. And correctional education must address this impact, which I'm glad we're right on the task today.
And STEM is really a great entry point for that. They can, you know, for example, the C-Tech program, which we also have at our detention center, actually gives them a certificate that they can use to then go forward and, you know, go into an actual training program that that will get them in line for a job. So yeah, this is right in line with that. And of course, you know, this is an area where minorities are underrepresented. So it addresses that as well.
I have another question. How realistic is this offering it in a max facility?
Whew, tough. It's tough. And like I said, you have to have a lot of conversation with, in our case, it's the director of the facility and the warden. We got buy-in from them, and once they, and that was a matter of them, you know, really telling me, giving me a lot of restraints in the beginning. You know, in the beginning, my projects came from something called Tinkercad. Oh, that's another one you can write down, Tinkercad. Oh no, not Tinkercad, I'm sorry. It's, oh gosh. Oh, I can't even think of it right now. I'll go back and look it up for you. Not Tinkercad, it's the crates. There are these little crates that have mostly like paper and you know, paper pieces and, you know, things that I know that the facility would not have a problem with because they're not on the contraband list. Okay, so it was a lot of that sort of conversation just to kind of get started. And once they saw that basically I could handle it, then they would maybe allow me to do something a little bit, you know, a little bit more, you know, that was a little bit maybe more risky. But it was just a lot of proposals, a lot of meetings, and, you know, taking it a step at a time as they allowed me to.
A couple more questions. Is there a certificate that gets awarded for the students?
Absolutely, yeah. So a lot of the programs that I'm going to show you today actually they automatically generate certificates. And then those certificates are, the kids want them, they want to bring them to court.
All right.
And they do bring them to court.
That's excellent. I got a couple more questions. How about coding?
Yes, definitely. So this is, we utilize block programming, which is what the Lego Mindstorms curriculum starts out with. And then we move them on to Python, the Python programming language. And if they're really interested, the other science teacher has an extensive background in HTML and Java.
Another question. Actually, a comment from Sahid Shatir. My students enjoy assembling the EV3 and the Da Vinci machine, but they lose interest when it comes to programming. Just a comment that he's making.
Yeah, and they love it. They just enjoy that platform, and they like those, you know, those lessons. So definitely.
Let's see. Can you list 3 projects that the art instructor created with her STEM students?
So let's see. Actually, it's a he, Mr. McCallick. And also, there's a Spanish teacher that does a lot of like crafts. So what we did, we have one unit of girls. And I found out that those girls really liked interior decorating. So there was a project actually on the Summit Learning platform. By the way, here's another one for you, summitlearning.org. They are more than willing to work with correctional educators. They have projects that are already developed that you can sort of tweak and add this STEM component to. So it's summitlearning.org. So they had a project where it was a part of their physics curriculum where the students are supposed to take like cardboard boxes and other common materials and try to design an apartment or a house out of those materials. So what we did in conjunction with the art teacher is we made it a whole interior design project. We looked at blueprints. We bought some supplies. I think we got it from wish.com. okay, where the girls can get rooms that have all the wallpaper and nice parts. And they actually were able to design a room or an apartment or a little house. So that's one. The other one is CAD, again, computer aided design, CAD. So CAD, we were able to use our Chromebooks. By the way, in our facility, we have one-to-one Chromebooks, okay, which took a while, but we were able to do it. So the students can get on the CAD program and design things on there. So the art teacher loved that. Design them in 3 dimensions, and then the STEM side of it was actually making sure that that object was printable with the 3D printers. Okay, so those are a few ideas.
All right, another question, your internet connectivity. And is there a project-based learning a part of a specific course that the students take for high school credit?
Absolutely. So these are integrated mostly into the chemistry and the physics curriculum. So in our detention center, and I would guess that it's probably true for many of us that work in this setting, the kids are in and out, in and out, in and out all the time. So basically, we award them credits per marking period. So it's 1.25 credits per marking period. And I set up my STEM class so that a project fits within a marking period. So if they're there long enough to complete the project within that marking period, they get 1.25 credits for every marking period. Yes, and all the projects align with, so again, like I said, I work within projects that are a part of curriculum that have already been published. So I use Summit Learning a lot. I use CK12, which I was going to show you in a bit. I use IXL, which is a practice tool. All of these are aligned with both the Common Core and with the next generation science standards.
And another question, does this align somehow with Common Core?
Absolutely.
Very good. All right.
All right, so let's go back to our presentation here. All right, so this is actually the dashboard that you would see if you use CK12. Okay, so if you have never, let's see if I can. Oh, I'm going. Okay, I'm sorry about that, guys. So if you have never been on it, ck12.org is totally free. They offer curriculum both by course. So they have, I guess, the equivalent to a digital textbook. I kind of feel like I should.
You know, where it would have come from like 18.
So here's how you get to it. It's just ck12.org. Very easy to join. Just click this join button. Okay, so if you haven't checked it out, do. I mean, it's pretty good, pretty thorough. They have a lot, and what I like about it is it's very interactive. Very easy to connect to STEM. So my current project, we're actually doing a gardening project. Okay, it's on hold because of coronavirus, but we were actually growing some seedling plants before I left. And so CK12, you can assign this to a class. It comes with a reading assignment. The truth of the matter is that a lot of my students want an actual printed assignment. So I actually go in here and highlight a lot of the key information for them. I play the videos to the whole class. actually a lot of times and discuss them. And I usually create a worksheet that I can print out, so with lines on it, so that they can write down their responses. And then what they do on their Chromebooks is they do these practice questions. So this part of it is done one-on-one on the Chromebooks, and they actually do the practice questions there. And after, you have a good amount. Oh, by the way, I wanted to point out that this is how we protect the student identity. We can't have their names on the internet, so we just assign them like a generic Google account, Scholar 1, Scholar 2, whatever. And I just have in a chart, written chart, which student is Scholar 1, Scholar 2, etc. And it kind of gives me this nice heat map that shows me who's getting it, who's practicing, what. On the side, if I were able to scroll down, I would show you. It shows you like how they've done on each of the practices, and it's a way to kind of get that snapshot of how your class is doing. And this is all within CK12. So the videos, the simulations, the practice is a big bonus, especially if you have one-to-one devices. And it helps with the revolving door of students, because if they're new to your class, this is a very easy way to kind of get them started, especially if you have some printouts that have previously been prepared and organized. Okay, so this dashboard is actually from IXL. So for those who have never seen it, let me switch to my Google here. It's just IXL.com. When you have a school account, they'll give you your own little sign-in web page here. And IXL, again, is already aligned to the New Jersey student learning objectives and the next generation science standards. Pretty much that's like saying the same thing in science, because in New Jersey, we're next generation science standards. And aligned to the Common Core for math. It's pretty great. So basically you come in, you're at this dashboard, it tells you how all of your students collectively in all your science classes are doing, how many questions they've done so far, how many skills they've mastered. Pretty great. And you can actually go in by student and see a breakdown of, let's see. You can see a breakdown in IXL. Oh, last 30 days, huge. We haven't been.
You just posted his name.
Whoops, sorry. I should have stayed in my PowerPoint. But it lets you know, for that student, what skills they've practiced, how many questions they've answered, how many skills. And then you can actually go in by that skill and see the actual questions that they have answered. Okay, so let me just stick with my PowerPoint where I actually did all that. Okay, so again, this is the student view that I was showing you in IXL. And students really respond to this. This is one of the programs, both CK12 and IXL will generate certificates for you. And the students really like those certificates. Particularly, they love the IXL certificates. And I think that's because they get instant feedback. And they have a dashboard in this program, which I'm not going to show you because then I'll end up showing names that I can't show. Okay, but they have a dashboard where you actually can see in real time what the students are answering right or wrong, and if a student is having issues in answering too many questions wrong, you can click on that and it'll show you in real time what questions the students have answered and what they got wrong. And you can kind of project that. If you have a smart board or something, you can project that and you can work the problem out, and it helps the whole class. And what that does is it kind of gets the students into this whole mindset of wanting to help each other. But once they've mastered it, they want to go and they want to help somebody else master it. So it's a pretty neat tool, I think. Okay, and then the last thing I'll show you is the NWEA MAP growth test, and then I'll open it up for questions. Okay, so as far as growth testing, so in the state of New Jersey, they really want all of us teachers to show growth over time. Now that's really tough in a detention center because they're always coming and going, coming and going. What I like about NWEA is that it's very teacher-centered. You can schedule a testing session according to what you see happening in your classroom. So as you see that a bunch of students are getting to the point where they've mastered a certain amount of information, you can go ahead and set up a testing session and test. And if you are fortunate enough to have a student for long enough to, you know, my rule of thumb is you need them for at least for 2 months, right? And if you're fortunate enough to have them for that span of time, you can do the NWEA, which is, by the way, it measures in Roush units, R-I-T, it's called a RIT score, which basically measures the difficulty of a question that the student can answer, okay? And so you can kind of get a baseline of what they know is, you know, pretty quickly, but within a week or so of when they come to you. And this can be done, again, one-on-one on the Chromebooks. And then if you're fortunate enough to have them for a couple months, you can test them again, and then you can see growth over time. What I also like about this is that it connects to this is called the Learning Continuum, the Learning Continuum. Now, this Learning Continuum breaks down by topic what that student, according to their RIT score, what they're ready to learn, okay? Which is really nice. And then what you can do, so here during COVID-19, I am totally cut off from my students right now. I'm so exasperated. So basically, my administrators are still trying to figure out how to allow us to virtually teach, but in the meantime, we're on packets. So what I can do is kind of look at that learning continuum, and I can figure out, you know, what to assign them. This review, just like I was telling you previously, came from the review in CK12. So hopefully you can kind of see how I connect everything together. All right, I'm gonna open it up for questions at this time.
Hello.
Hi.
It took me a while to get in.
All right.
Hello, Loretta.
Hi, how are you?
I'm hanging in there, just like all of us during this crazy, crazy
Really
situation
good.
that we find ourselves in.
Yep. Yeah. So I guess we'll be hearing what, June 8th, when things are going to go back to quote unquote normal, maybe?
Whatever the new normal is, I don't know.
All right. Is it only 4 people so far?
We actually have 47.
Oh,
So what I'm going to do is, we're going to be recording this,
okay.
so I'm going to put it on the website. So if you don't want your picture up on the website,
Yeah, nah.
okay, all right. So take yourself off, and I have everybody muted. And if you have a question, then you can ask. You can just chat. Send a chat.
Okay.
Their question is about, we have a question about software. If you can't do this online, is that a possibility?
Some things are. So NWEA, the answer is no. That can only be done online. IXL can only be done online. CK12, remember I told you, like right now, I'm cut off from my kids. So CK12, it'll take a little work on your part, but it's pretty easy to convert that lesson to a paper assignment. Or download it. If you have access to, Google Classroom. Another thing that I can show you if you all are interested is how I kind of created a Google Classroom where I uploaded the assignments so that they could, kids can just sort of see it, or I could print it out for them. Okay, so a lot of these tools do require the internet, which again, like I said, I told you I'm going to be honest about this situation. The internet is tricky because kids are always trying to find a way. Like they will waste 20 minutes of your class period trying to break through, even if they have tried 20 times and they still couldn't get through, they're still going to waste 20 minutes of your class period trying to get through. So it's, it has its pluses and its minuses for sure. But, there is a way. So hopefully, to answer your question, there is a way to kind of integrate either paper-based or downloaded things with online, or there's a way to either take screenshots, because I do it all the time, take screenshots of things that are online, print them out, copy and paste, print it out. There's ways. Summit Learning is probably the best platform out of all the ones I've talked about today for, downloading things and doing it offline.
We have a question. Is this considered a vocational education program?
It depends on how you work it. It is in our school because, like I mentioned before, we had two of our instructional aides. Two of them went for training in CTEC. So we made it so that our kids would kind of start out with, there's two science teachers and two instructional aides that do the vocational program. So they go to the other science teacher. He does mostly 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. If they end up coming back to us, which a lot of times they do, then they will end up with me. And then if they are able to succeed with me, then they can go on to the CTEC program. So in our case, yes, but you would have to put the work in to set something like that up. It really worked together to make that happen.
Along the same lines, can we pre-record lessons and upload them into the Office PC in our classrooms?
Yep, I do it all the time. And I actually use, Zoom. So if you are interested and you indicate that you're interested, I started actually a little handbook for my staff, for the other teachers, that shows how you can use Zoom as a tool to record your lessons and actually have recorded lessons. Yeah, that's also something we're doing.
Could you repeat the best offline program again?
So it's called summitlearning.org. And let me, again, here I come with the honesty again. Summit Learning is not designed for correctional education. It's designed for regular schools, but their resources, which are fully downloadable, are amazing. And they are so willing to work with correctional educators. They know what our struggles are. So if you say, look, Summit, I know that you're pushing your own agenda. You want kids to have 90-minute classes, project sessions and all this. I can't do that, okay? They will say, okay, I understand what your situation is. Let me work with you and let me design some PD for you to try to figure out how you can take the resources from our platform and tailor it to you. So it's a little bit of work, but that's Summit Learning.
I guess you answered this question, but I'll ask it again just in case. Can you use Zoom like a webinar?
You can use Zoom in so many ways. Oh my gosh, this time that I have been cut off from my students, I have found ways to use Zoom where the kids or their, depending on what their situation is. Zoom, you can call in and do a session. With Zoom, you can just put up 2 whiteboards and just be writing. Because, we have a situation in correctional education where the identity of the student, we got to be careful, we got to protect it. So Zoom, a student can actually not even have their voice on, not even have their face on, just a whiteboard. And they can write on the whiteboard and you can write on the whiteboard. That's another trick we figured out. You can host a meeting with nobody else in it. You're in a meeting by yourself, nobody joins, host it and record it. And now you have a recorded session. What I'm going to do after I get off of this call is make a DVD. In our facility, the recreation department has a situation where they can pump a video up from a DVD into the units. Oh yeah. So if I can get a whole bunch of recordings from different teachers, what Zoom does is it produces an MP4 video file. And you can download those files, burn them on a DVD, hand them over to the officers, and if they have a DVD player, boom, there you are. Your kids can see you. So there's lots of different possibilities. And by the way, I am not saying Zoom is the be all and end all. Look at WebEx. They are the bomb. Okay, WebEx is really good. You know what? Google Meets. Google's kind of proprietary, and I have my own feelings as a person who codes about Google, because I really don't appreciate the fact that they actually watch our keystrokes, and I'm not okay with that. But anyway, Google Meets. You can record yourself. That's another way of producing. Prezi, from back in the day. I don't know if you ever used Prezi back in the day. Prezi. They have kind of brought their game up, and you can actually record a video of your slide presentation in Prezi.com. Another way to do it, okay? Lots of different options. Zoom is kind of expensive too. They're in my pocket right now. So I don't know.
Well, Zoom does have the free 40 minutes.
They do. So there's that. But if you want to collect,
right.
See, my thing is all about teacher community.
Yes.
My research at Rutgers University is what really drives me wild, and what I will probably write a lot about, is this isolation problem. Right. That we deal with in correctional education. And these platforms kind of give us a way to break through that isolation. So the reason why, I come out of pocket for Zoom is because I can have an organizational account like you started here, Kevin, where all of us teachers can kind of create videos. We can share them with each other. We have a recording area in the cloud that has all of our teaching videos together, which is lovely.
Someone just made a comment that with Zoom, after the 40-minute mark, it can extend for free. I know they're doing that because of COVID-19. And also I noticed when I have meetings with my New Jersey board and then my Region 1 board on Saturdays, there's no cutoff. Even for free, it was no cutoff, just because we're not competing against every teacher, public school teacher, and every business.
Right,
right. And Saturday morning, because the teachers are tired in public school from doing all this stuff all day long.
You know what's really neat about the paid Zoom account, and it's 11 o'clock, so I know some of you have already been on for an hour. So I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say right now, and I'm gonna let everybody who needs to leave right now, I'm gonna let you go. And if you feel like hanging out with me for a little while, then I'll hang out for a little bit longer. But let me just kind of show you, there's one more thing about Zoom, that if you actually have the money as a group, there's something I love about it. Let's see. Here's my lesson. Check this out. Do you see this over here on the side? A transcript. The bomb for kids that are not really super high-level readers. I love it. Okay, so this comes with a paid Zoom account as well.
That's great.
Okay, so that's another tool that, you know, if you're investing the rather, you know, steep price of Zoom, take advantage of that whole transcript thing. And then they also have a chat. Look how we're, you know, me and the other teachers are chatting with each other, chatting it up. Okay, so those are some good, you know, features to promote teacher community.
Someone else just said that U.S. Corrections are using Zoom, you know, for court appearances, and
It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. All right. Is there anything else, Kevin?
Yeah, someone offered the Summit Learning, their website. It's www.summit, SUMMIT, learning, LEARNING.org.
Totally free. It's still free. You do have to go through a little bit of a sign-up process with them to get in, but they offer so much PD. Like, I love it. So much professional development. I've learned a lot of good stuff from them.
Well, I see a couple people are signing off, and they said, thank you so much. Just a reminder, everybody, you know, Joya, I reached out to the Correctional Education Association members in Region 1, and Joya and one other person volunteered. Actually, two other people volunteered their time, but she was the first one to reply. That was a week ago, Thursday. I just got the account. Been trying to learn about Zoom. So yeah, I'm learning quite a bit, and I really appreciate everybody being on today. As I said, we did record it. I will post it on the website, www.cearegion1.org, because thanks to them, I'm the director, but the board approves that we paid for our Zoom to be able to do Zoom meetings like this. And I just, you know, if anybody has anything else that they'd like to offer, like if you want to email me and say, hey, I got this great idea, because as I said before, we have a lot of talent in all over this country and all over the world, because we might have somebody from Canada on this feed right now, which is great. Or who knows, Australia. We have members in Australia, Ireland, New Zealand. So we're all over the place, and we're all in this together. We really are, you know. And I just, you know, really appreciate Joya and her time and everybody's patience, because I know some people weren't able to get on. I will also send this recording to you, to your supervisors, and to email. So hopefully, you know, if there's other people out there that didn't have a chance because of work duties. I know somebody was doing the law library, which we all know you have to cover the law library. I did it as a supervisor many, many times. So, you know, we'll have it available there, and we'll also have it available on the website. And if you haven't gone to our website, please do. We were supposed to have our regional conference in Cape May, end of this month. We have already signed our contract, and we're going to have it next year. We postponed, so it's going to be June 1st through the 4th in Grand Hotel in Cape May. So if you want to go down to the beach, hopefully we'll be going to the beach. If not, we'll be Zooming, or we'll be doing Google Chat, or whatever we'll be doing. But it's all good.
I wanted to just add in, there was one resource that I was trying to rack my brain and remember. The boxes that I started out with, my very first projects, came from KiwiCo, Kiwico, kiwico.com, and I started out with their Tinker Crates. So the materials inside of those Tinker Crates are usually very correctional education friendly, okay? A lot of paper and things that officers usually are okay with you using, or just with some slight modifications. So again, that's KiwiCo, Kiwico, and the Tinker Crates.
Just some more comments. Just thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I found it very interesting and informative. Thank you for doing this. Always great job, above and beyond. Well, be playing on. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Dante Coluccio, my former music teacher, says his band Groove Heart will be in Cape May next year. Thank you for pushing that forward to next year for us. Thank you, Joya. Please keep me on your email list. Someone asked about certs. I haven't had a chance to put together. I was trying to answer all these questions and try and figure things out. But I know certifications for training are very important, so I will get them out within the week or so.
I will definitely do a list of websites. I see that question there. Yes, I will, and I'll email it to Kevin. And for people that want to actually learn how to do, if you want to get online with me and just do Tinkercad together, make a chess pawn or something, I'll send out some information and we can learn together. This is all about learning together.
Another comment, thank you for excellent resources. Corrections offers unique obstacles, but unique opportunities as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. That's really nice. All right. Oh, got another message.
Oh, my contact information, yes. Let me put that up and leave it up. All right, let's put up that last slide. And this was also on the slides that were sent to you via email. And there it is.
Yes, the people that sent me an email to my address, I sent them the original file, the PDF file, and then you had added the video. So this is different.
Yeah, this is a little bit different. The one that I sent out, the one that I sent out to you was approved by my IRB. For those of us that know what research in the university is like. So you got the IRB approved version.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
I just want to say thank you very much for doing this. You guys did a great job. As always, I expected no less.
You're welcome. I had a terrific time. Thank you for providing this opportunity for us to learn together.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, Dante, you having your guys in your music room. That would be awesome if you put this all together.
Kev, I mean, I know everybody has to sign off, so I don't want to go on and on, but, even before this COVID, I have the recording studio in there, so I have guys learning audio engineering, and then we have music theory, which is everybody, and then we have private lessons on guitar, bass, trumpet, trombone, saxophone, flute, piano, and then also, you know, 3 or 4 times a year when we have concerts, I'm trying to run a band rehearsal with all this going on. So
I was always amazed when I went into your room. And
yeah,
it was
and
chaotic, but for you, man, your students they were
well,
geared.
you know, I mean, the music theory and the instrument part is super academic. And then the concerts that we do, obviously, are the guys' opportunity to show off what they've learned. And even some of the guys are learning arranging. So I've gone as far as to let some of these guys help me arrange the music for the concerts, you know, which is not easy. And I have to when they're arranging, that's very, very difficult. All the instruments are in different keys. And so I have to oversee them. So I'm overseeing no less than 6 things every day and trying to be one-on-one and groups in each corner. So the point that I'm making is, even before COVID or anything, I was always hoping to be able to shoot, like, you know, come home or in my downtime, record private lessons on the instruments. I would still give them one-on-one also, but when I'm not there, you know, with this particular guy, he could pop a DVD in or a pre-recorded lesson on whatever format we have, and he could take, you know, an hour lesson while I'm over in the studio or while I'm over with the band rehearsal. You know what I mean? Everybody could put their headphones on and still do private instruction that way. And I mean, it would be so much more effective. And I would probably, you know, I lose like 5 pounds a day in that classroom, just running around there, you know, just going back and forth. You know, it's crazy in there.
Yeah. But it's great. It's wonderful what you've given to the guys.
Oh, you know, I love doing it, but you know, I'm 56 years old in a couple of days and 22 years in. So I'd love to see some of this technology make its way into the facility before I make my way out. You know?
Wow. Yes. Well, you're catching up to me.
Yeah, I am. You were there. You were there when I started, my brother. You took me into that place and showed me around and stayed with me the whole time, and I'll never forget that, and I appreciate it.
Hey, feelings mutual, man. All right, anybody else out there? Otherwise, we're gonna let you get out and teach your class or get outside, whichever is happening.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Joya. It was outstanding. I really appreciate everything you presented.
You're
Thanks,
welcome. You're welcome.
Dr. Alba is from Rhode Island.